Hello Hong Kong campaign will give 500,000 free air tickets to attract tourists. Disneyland is recruiting hundreds as it expects tourists to come back. U.S. Defense Secretary and Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. highlight bilateral relationship. Hello and welcome to TVB News. The government has launched the Hello Hong Kong global publicity campaign today, which sets sights on showing the world Hong Kong has returned to normality. Among the centerpieces of the promotion is the giveaway of 500,000 air tickets to tourists starting next month. An additional 160,000 free air tickets will also be offered to Hong Kongers and tourists from the Greater Bay Area. Jackie Lin has our top story.
1, 2, 3!
Hello Hong Kong is described by the government as the world's largest welcome back publicity drive, gearing up the city to woo back travelers and reboot its tourism industry.
We can't wait to say hello personally to each and every one of you. 一声你好.
Kickstarting the campaign in English, Chief Executive John Lee introduced Hello Hong Kong in Mandarin and Cantonese as well. Also unveiled today is the much-anticipated free air ticket giveaways.
We have prepared 500,000 free air tickets to welcome tourists from every part of the world to come to Hong Kong. This, ladies and gentlemen, is probably the world's biggest welcome ever.
The free air tickets will be distributed by home-based airlines Cathay Pacific, Hong Kong Express and Hong Kong Airlines starting the 1st of March. The 500,000 tickets will be handed out over a 6-month period in events such as lucky draws, games or buy one get one free promotions. The first phase will encompass Southeast Asian countries such as Thailand and the Philippines before the giveaway is extended to Northeast Asia and the mainland. An additional 80,000 air tickets will be given away to Hong Kongers in the summer. Another 80,000 tickets will be offered to residents in the Greater Bay Area. The airport authorities said they hope travelers given free air tickets could bring along 2 to 3 more friends and family members in their trip. With that, they expect 1.5 million more travelers could be brought into the city, accounting for 10% of the total number of inbound travelers during the March to September period. Another part of the campaign are these promotional videos, which will be aired across some 3,000 media outlets in the world. Overseas dignitaries, business leaders, journalists, and influencers will be invited to come and experience Hong Kong. Part of the campaign also includes a giveaway of 1 million sets of Hong Kong goodies for tourists, covering 16,000 restaurants and shops. They are consumption vouchers with free drinks and discounts on transport and purchases. From 5 p.m., these vouchers were handed out in arrival halls at the airport, West Kowloon Station of the high-speed rail and Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, as well as the Star Ferry Pier in Tsim Sha Tsui.
Nothing can stop us from bouncing back. The Hello Hong Kong campaign heralds our return to the world stage. We eagerly welcome friends from around the world to come and see and experience for themselves.
Excluding the giveaway of free air tickets, this first phase of promotion already sets the government back some $100 million. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Hong Kong Disneyland Resort held a first-ever in-park career development and job recruitment expo today. Disney said 600 job positions were open for application with a wide range of opportunities, adding that manpower is needed to cope with the increasing number of visitors after the border reopening. Mimosa Ngai with more.
Have you ever thought of working at Disneyland, where you can be colleagues with Mickey Mouse or your favorite character? The theme park hosted Disney Open House for Dreammakers, an in-park career development and job recruitment expo today, offering 600 new full-time and part-time job opportunities. For instance, technicians, gardeners, volunteers, and waiters. While job interviews took place at an enchanting venue, one could detect a sense of competitiveness, with about 100 people waiting to be interviewed by noon. For many interviewees, nonetheless, working at Disney is a valuable opportunity that they longed for. This man, for instance, hoped to land a job in the hotel section or in guest relations.
I see Hong Kong Disneyland Resort as a well-established company, and I saw like they have very comprehensive employee benefits, and that's partly what attracted me to apply for a job here.
This woman, meanwhile, wanted a part-time job.
Because of the brand name of Disneyland, enjoy the Disney momentum.
When asked about how she felt towards the interview, Nam said,
Just take it easy.
Director of Hong Kong Disneyland's Human Resources, Colleen Zhang, said the theme park did not lay off any employees in the past 3 years, saying they currently have 5,000 full-time employees and over 1,200 part-timers. Zhang added that while existing manpower is sufficient for daily visitors, more employees are needed for the future to cope with the rising number of guests. Disney says there will be more recruitment events in the future to attract talented people to work at the theme park. With Hong Kong's reopening to the rest of the world, Disney expects more visitors will come to the city. Mimosa Nai, TVB News.
Equal Opportunities Commission Chairperson Ricky Chu said premises may breach the city's disability discrimination ordinance if they refuse to serve people infected with COVID-19. Speaking on a radio program today, Chu emphasized that the city's anti-discrimination law protects people with infectious diseases, including COVID. Chu said, citing the need to protect staff and customers might not constitute a rational reason for restaurants to refuse to serve COVID patients. He also said it is not acceptable for private clinics to turn away people infected with the coronavirus, even if the clinic does not prescribe COVID oral drugs. Overseas, the United States and the Philippines have announced an agreement to expand Washington's military presence in the Southeast Asian country. Daniel Rao tells us more.
The announcement comes as U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is in Manila for talks, with Washington seeking to extend its security options in the Philippines. Austin met with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at the presidential palace before holding talks with his counterpart Carlito Galvez. Marcos Jr. reiterated his stance on U.S. involvement in the Asia-Pacific region.
The future of the Philippines, and for that matter the Asia-Pacific, will always have to involve the United States, simply because those partnerships are so strong.
Statements from the defense ministries of the Philippines and the U.S. said Washington would be given access to 4 more locations under a 2014 Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA. The statements did not specify where the new locations would be. A former Philippine military chief had said the U.S. had requested access to bases on the northern landmass of Luzon, the closest part of the Philippines to Taiwan, and on the island of Palawan, facing the disputed Spratly Islands in the South China Sea. Washington is also allocating more than $82 million toward infrastructure investments at the existing 5 sites under the EDCA. The EDCA allows U.S. access to Philippine military bases for joint training, pre-positioning of equipment, and the building of facilities such as runways, fuel storage, and military housing, but not a permanent presence.
It's a key pillar of training and opportunities to strengthen our interoperability, and it also provides us the ability to respond effectively to humanitarian issues and also disaster relief and other types of crises, not just for the Philippines, but for the region throughout.
Outside the Philippines military headquarters, dozens of protesters opposed to Washington maintaining a military presence in the country chanted anti-US slogans and called for the EDCA to be scrapped. Beijing criticized Manila's decision to grant the United States greater access to military bases. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said the move hurts regional stability and raises tensions. Dan Rell, TVB News.
The United States has opened an embassy in the Solomon Islands as it seeks to strengthen ties with the Pacific amid China's growing influence in the region. The U.S. previously operated an embassy in the Solomon Islands for 5 years before closing it in 1993. The embassy in the capital, Honiara, is starting small with a charge d'affaires, a couple of State Department staff, and a handful of local employees. The U.S. State Department notified lawmakers early last year that China's growing influence in the Pacific made reopening the Solomon Islands embassy a priority. Since then, the Solomons have signed a security pact with China. And coming up, Federal Reserve raises interest rate, but many local banks are not following suit. Ukraine expects Russia to launch major attack as invasion anniversary approaches. Australia will not feature British monarch in new banknote. Welcome back. The U.S. Federal Reserve has raised its benchmark interest rate by 0.25 percentage point in order to continue its fight against high inflation. But many local banks are not raising rates. Christy Kahn reports.
The U.S. Federal Reserve announced a 0.25-point interest rate increase on Wednesday. This 8th straight interest hike, however, is the smallest adjustment since March, taking the rate to a range of 4.5 to 4.75%. Despite the slower pace of rate hike, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell hinted that it doesn't indicate an end to the increases.
We're talking about a couple of more rate hikes. We're trying to make a fine judgment about how much is restrictive enough. We'll make data-dependent decisions. Given our outlook, I don't see us cutting rates this year.
In response to the U.S. rate increase, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority announced it is increasing its base rate to 5% with immediate effect. But some of the city's largest commercial banks, including HSBC, Hang Seng Bank, and Bank of China, said they will keep their best lending rate unchanged at 5.625% for now. The chief executive of the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, Eddie Yu, warned that the cost of borrowing will not come down anytime soon, noting that it is uncertain how the future rate hikes will unfold.
Rate hikes in the U.S. will not affect the financial and monetary stability of Hong Kong. Our monetary and financial markets continue to operate in a smooth and orderly manner. The rate hike cycle in the U.S. has not yet been completed. The Hong Kong dollar interbank rates might remain at elevated levels for some time, so the public should be prepared for the likelihood that banks' lending rates may go further higher, and should carefully assess and manage the relevant risks, especially interest rate risks, when making property purchase, taking out mortgages, or making other borrowing decisions.
Some mortgage brokers in Hong Kong expect the Fed's interest rate may reach 5.5% in the middle of the year. Christy Kahn, TVB News.
U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Kevin McCarthy has told reporters that China cannot tell him where to go. This was in response to a question about a possible trip to Taiwan. A recent report said the Pentagon was preparing for McCarthy to visit Taiwan later this year.
Any reaction to China's warning against visiting Taiwan for you?
I don't think China can tell me where I can go at any time, at any place.
McCarthy was speaking after his first meeting with U.S. President Joe Biden in his new position as House Speaker. Earlier this week, China's foreign ministry urged U.S. lawmakers not to engage in official exchanges with Taiwan. Last August, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan, angering China, which responded with military exercises and test launches of ballistic missiles over Taipei. Russia is reportedly bolstering its military might in the eastern region of Ukraine in what Kiev suspects is preparation for an offensive as the first anniversary of Moscow's invasion approaches. Nasvi Karim has more.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is fighting two wars, one against invading Russian forces and the other against the forces within, the alleged corruption inside his own government. Zelensky, who was elected in 2019 on an anti-establishment and anti-corruption platform, continued his crackdown on graft by dismissing several high-ranking officials. With Western allies pumping in billions of dollars of aid and military support, the Ukrainian government is targeting corrupt officials who undermine the country's economy and the stable functioning of the defense industrial complex. One former defense ministry official is accused of embezzling state funds through the purchase of some 3,000 bulletproof vests. Zelensky said in his nightly video address, "We will not allow anyone to weaken our state." In Kramatorsk, about 55 kilometers northwest of Bakhmut, police say a Russian missile destroyed an apartment building and damaged 7, killing at least 3 people. Meanwhile, Andrei Medvedev, formerly with Russia's Wagner mercenary group who fled to Norway in January, told Reuters he wanted to apologize and help bring the perpetrators of atrocities in Ukraine to justice. Russia rejects allegations of war crimes. Wagner fighters, who also include conscripts, are part of the Russian forces trying to capture Bakhmut. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
Australia is removing the British monarchy from its banknotes. The nation's central bank said its new $5 bill would feature an indigenous design rather than an image of King Charles III. However, King Charles is still expected to appear on coins that currently bear an image of the late Queen Elizabeth II. The British monarch remains Australia's head of state. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is reportedly seeking to make Australia a republic with an Australian citizen as head of state. And back in Hong Kong, in a bid to enhance the corruption prevention education among the city's public bodies, the Independent Commission Against Corruption launched an integrity promotion campaign for public bodies just over a year ago. Timothy Lee reports.
With eyes glued to the screen, these bus drivers were shown a video depicting a bus driver committing an act of bribery by relieving a superior's gambling debt in exchange for a favor. These educational videos are part of the ICAC's corruption prevention courses that took place at the City Bus Chai Wan Depot. They are part of a larger plan by the Anti-Corruption Agency to educate public transportation company employees about the importance of job integrity and remind them of their status as public servants by virtue of being employees of a public body. Many public transport staff may accidentally commit an offense by receiving gifts, as they are regarded as advantages under the Prevention of Bribery Ordinance. The ICAC's Integrity Promotion Campaign introduced a full range of services, including face-to-face training, online learning courses, as well as training videos and animations. Investigator Jamie Fung pointed out there are some common corruption situations in the public transport sector.
As far as public transport companies are concerned, the common corruption risk areas include the use of false documents, procurement of staff administrations, and actually these areas are also some general corruption risk areas across different public bodies.
Besides Citybus, around 100 other organizations have participated in the ICAC's Integrity Promotion Campaign for public bodies, including tertiary education and regulatory bodies. Participants in the Commission's Integrity Promotion Campaign are provided with these information packages detailing anti-corruption legal information. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.